Some Iron Maiden fans consider Virtual 11 to be the weakest album in the band's discography, and yet still, the songs from it are being played live way more often than the ones from many other Maiden albums.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Released on the 23rd of March in 1998, Virtual 11 of course became the 11th studio album by the legendary UK heavy metal band Iron Maiden. So as a part of our Up the Irons series, let's take a look at some of the lesser known facts about Virtual 11 and then discuss what is the real reason why some fans might actually not like it, and why it has nothing to do with Blaze Bayley. Here you go. Very quick and very important, guys. Right after I finished recording this video, I've read the news that Blaze Bayley actually suffered a heart attack. So on behalf of all the Iron Maiden fans and on behalf of all the metal pilgrims, Blaze, we want you to know that we're with you and we wish you all the best and speedy recovery so that you can get back on the road and rock the world again. Stay strong, man, and we are with you. For their 11th studio album, Iron Maiden decided to combine the two biggest passions of the band's founder, Steve Harris, with the hottest topic of 1998. So basically tie together music with football and virtual reality.
It seemed like such a simple idea.
And the reason for that was at least twofold. Firstly, it being the band's 11th studio album was the only chance for Steve Harris to somehow tie his favorite sport to Iron Maiden. As in case you don't know, in football there are 11 players on each team, and in Europe number 11 is kind of associated with that sport for many fans. And yeah, in case you're wondering, we're talking about football in which you actually play with your feet.
Oh, there's another opening here, and that's his hat-trick. Steve Harris has scored his third goal of the game.
And the second one, I guess, is a bit more prosaic. 1998 was a year of World Cup, and the craze over virtual reality was of course in full swing by the late 90s, so riding the wave of hype on both of those topics seemed like a great idea.
The calculations are so far.
But there was actually one more reason for going with that theme. You see, no matter what you personally think about Virtual 11, you gotta agree that Iron Maiden always had one of the greatest management teams in the industry, which has helped the band to stay ahead of the game on many levels. And many times, not only musically. And so by 1998, Iron Maiden were also getting ready to expand into a new industry and release their own PC game at Hunter, which was meant to introduce the heavy metal legends to new, younger audiences. This game, which became somewhat of a precursor to better known today Legacy of the Beast, was the band's rather clever attempt to interest the kids who otherwise were not exposed to heavy metal in the world of Iron Maiden once again. As let's be honest here, by the late 90s, metal was not really the hottest topic around. And by the way, in case you have no idea what Ad Hunter looked like, I guess the best way to characterize it would be to call it the Iron Maiden related Eddie-infused Doom. To which weirdly, even today, so many years later, I still remember all of the cheat codes. But anyways, it looked like by 1998 all of the stars aligned just right, and therefore releasing an album which could also promote your new business seemed like a no-brainer to the band. Or so it seemed. Virtual 11 is a rather unique album for Iron Maiden. By the time the boys went to the studio to record its predecessor, they had no idea how their fans would react to the new vocalist. Yet after going on a major world tour, by the end of 1997 they once again regained their confidence, and by the second record with Blaze, Steve Harris was much more aware of how to utilize the new singer's voice. Or at least he should have been.
Don't you think I'm a savior? Don't you think I could save you?
According to pretty much everyone at Iron Maiden, the boys were able to record Virtual 11 much quicker than they did the X Factor. In fact, most of the vocal lines on the record were not even recorded during the main session, but were taken from the earlier rehearsals.
Out of your hands now, so how do you feel? But you're not gonna win. You better go back again.
And Nick McBrain's drum parts were knocked out almost right away, which almost feels today as if the band was rushed to do it for some reason.
You know, my piece of work was done, started in June last year and ended in June last year. So once I've done my bit, I'm off out.
Even more, Steve Harris and the team apparently had so many ideas that at least 4 more songs, in addition to the ones which have made it on the album, were written during the Virtual 11 writing session. And all of those, being Nomad, Dream of Mirrors, Mercenary and Blood Brothers, of course were recorded upon Bruce Dickinson's return to the band for their reunion album, Brave New World. A fun fact which I feel like we have to point out here, that Blaze Bayley also suggested in one of the earlier interviews that he's written some of the lyrics for Dream of Mirrors during that period, yet this has neither been confirmed nor denied by the band. And here's the thing, I actually believe that if at least some of those songs would have made it on Virtual 11, and of course a couple of those which actually did, and especially one of its singles would have been shortened a bit, but Virtual 11 would have actually been right away received in a completely different manner.
Exactly.
But of course Steve Harris, who was not only the main songwriter but also the main producer for Virtual 11, had a rather different vision for this record. The cover artwork for Virtual 11 was once again created by the artist Melvyn Grant, who previously designed a cover for Fear of the Dark and will of course work with Iron Maiden in the future. By the way, Melvyn Grant is actually one of the only 3 artists who got to draw more than one Eddie. The other ones, of course, being Derek Riggs and Mark Wilkinson.
Nice!
The artwork itself depicts a boy immersed into a virtual reality football game while actually being trapped in an apocalyptic holocaust, with Eddie reaching for him from the back. And while many fans, including myself, were at first rather indifferent about this artwork, I have to be honest with you, today I actually see Melvyn Grant's second work with the Iron Maiden as one of the most interesting and complex ones since Somewhere in Time. And one of the questions which I ask myself today is whether this kid actually has no idea about everything that is going on in reality because he's simply part of the Matrix, or does he know that the fire is coming and that's why he's running away from it into a virtual world to experience his favorite game amidst everything that is going on around him. And by the way, and I know that some of you might not want to hear it, but this last idea has actually come to me only in the last couple of months. And it might be so because of everything that is going on around us in my country, where not only kids, but even grown-ups, like myself, sometimes have to escape mentally to stay sane. So here I just wanted to thank you guys all for this amazing heavy metal community, and just let you know that I don't think that I'd be able to handle the war and everything that is going on around me the way I did without your support. So thank you guys, and please don't forget that the war in Ukraine still goes on and there are people dying here every day. But anyways, according to Melvyn Grant, the original request from the band was simply to draw something related to virtual reality. And so the original painting done by Melvyn actually looked quite different from the one which has made it on Virtual 11. But of course, just by the time when he was done with it, the band suddenly decided to link the release with World Cup, for which Steve Harris and the team, of course, asked Melvyn to reflect it somehow on the album artwork. And so he did. But most importantly, Virtual 11 of course marks the very first time Iron Maiden updated their logo and gave it a more modern look by simply modifying the letters R, M, and N. And here's the thing, I actually have rather strong opinions on this version of the logo versus the original one, and I'll be more than happy to record a separate episode on the evolution of the Iron Maiden logo throughout the years. So if you think that such video would be of interest for you, please do let us know in the comments.
We've stuck the Kabuki mask actually on a board with Iron Maiden lettering, and it had like, you know, white bulbs chasing around like a dressing room, really.
But it is this updated logo which will later on, of course, appear on all of the studio records all the way until the final frontier. And this minor detail, I believe, might actually be one of the indicators of why this album was not received so well by the fans. Virtual 11 is the most controversial album in the Iron Maiden discography, as, let's be honest here, not many fans consider it the pinnacle of the band's career, and yet at the same time, it actually features some amazing songs, including one which possibly is one of the greatest the band has ever written. And yet, still, there are a couple of problems with this album. And as I said before, it has nothing to do with the singer. By 1998, Iron Maiden once again found themselves in a rather difficult position, as they were trying hard to find their place in the new, updated landscape of heavy metal.
The need to belong, I am the clansman.
And so by the time of the second album, with the new vocalist, Iron Maiden felt like they have to sound, look, and feel like a band which they thought their fans would like them to be. And sometimes they went a bit too hard in that attempt. This actually went beyond of them simply riding the wave of hype of virtual reality.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You see, it's kind of a paradox, but on Virtual 11, Iron Maiden actually tried to listen to the constructive criticism they've received from their fans after the release of The X Factor, which almost felt too dark and sinister for some Maiden fans. And so on Virtual 11, they actually tried to step away from the dark atmosphere they created on The X Factor, which almost resulted in them sounding forcefully cheerful on some of the tracks.
Don't you think I could save you? Don't you think I could save your life?
But the craziest thing is that those songs on which the band did not try to do that are actually some of the strongest ones the band has released in a very long time. And the fact that they are being played even today, when many other gems of the early Iron Maiden period have been forgotten, I believe is the best proof for that.
You sing it!
So is Virtual 11 a weak album? Well, not really. I think most people know that I really like both records released with Blaze Bayley. And if Virtual 11 would have been a debut record by some new band, well, it most likely would have been considered a masterpiece. Even more, if you think about it, by its musical composition, Virtual 11 might be the first album of the new era of Iron Maiden. As by its song structure, Virtual 11 is actually much closer to what the band has been doing post the reunion than those newer albums are to the band's early material. And yet still, it feels like Iron Maiden were not quite ready to make that mental switch, with some songs on this record being kind of stuck in between. And instead of writing the music they were mentally ready for, Steve Harris and the team gave too much crap and imagined way too hard what their fans would like them to sound like, instead of doing what they do best, not listening to anyone and producing music they actually love. But anyways, the reason why I did not release this episode on Virtual 11's birthday was very simple. I simply wanted to see how the band would celebrate the 25th anniversary of their 11th studio record. And in case you missed that, they did not, and absolutely ignored that fact.
Why, God, why?
So please let me know what you guys personally think about Virtual 11 and which is your personal favorite track from this record, as I'll be honest with you, and I think it's no secret, that in addition to the fact that I simply like both albums with Blaze, I actually believe that they are an essential part of the Iron Maiden history, without which the band would not be able to make that switch in their sound, and we would never hear the masterpieces the band released afterwards.
Do you believe what you feel? Can you believe what you see? Do you believe what you feel? Can you believe what is real?
And in addition to that, no matter what, they actually are still so much stronger than 90% of the albums released that same year. And the more I listen to them today, the more I like them and the more I appreciate them.
What is real? You are real.
But anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, guys, and we will prevail. Slava Ukraini!